Hey guys, Scott here. Just wanted to talk about something I noticed on the PTB and also saw in the PTB patch notes as well. And this is just a theory, but I tested it a bunch of times, and there's no way I can have enough mass data to prove it's true or not, but it certainly seems true from what I can see. So there's a line right here in the PTB that was sort of overlooked. It says, updated the map tile generation to reduce the chances of bugs in the future. You may see certain tiles appear more or less commonly than before. Now, that was sort of a vague thing, but I noticed playing on a Coldwind farm map, and someone else in chat also corroborated this as well. Again, anecdotal evidence, but we did both notice this. It seemed like Coldwind Farms is somehow even worse for Survivor than it was last patch. Coldwind Farms has had a history of being incredibly Survivor-sided for most of the game's life cycle, but within like the past year, it's actually started to shift kind of significantly more killer-sided. And maps like Rancid Avatar are like really, really killer-sided. They're a lot smaller, and the tiles that can spawn are sometimes not as good anymore, but again, this is just testing, but I was playing on Thompson House, and I noticed this on Survivor, that there were literally 0 jungle gyms on the entire map. There was nothing. And I was like, damn, that's really bad. And then we saw this line. What my theory is here is they have increased the chance for these new tiles to spawn, and they've decreased the chance for the standard jungle gyms and all those types of tiles to spawn. So I went through every single farm map multiple times to check RNG, and they were all just these. These tiles are not nearly as good. They're playable. They're like a TL wall in the sense that they're playable, but they're not particularly safe palettes. And most of them, basically all of them, are just these. They're all these shitty tiles that, for some reason now, have the same weighting as a jungle gym. A jungle gym is, a safe palette with like a window. They're usually on every single map. But for some reason on Coldwind Farms, we have these tiles now that seem to be spawning way more commonly on the PTB. And I did about 10 farm games. So again, I don't have, mass data. I cannot possibly prove that's true, but it's something I noticed while playing, and it's something I noticed while specifically testing for this in particular. But it seems like most of the actual tiles are being replaced by these new tiles, and these new tiles are not good. These are really easy to play around. This is sort of like half a long wall, except it doesn't have the safe palette. So the issue is these tiles are okay. It's okay to have less safe tiles in the game. And honestly, that's even like encouraged. You don't want to have all safe palettes, or you're just going to have the game or something like that. This is just a standard palette tile, but even these tiles are not safe. You have to pre-drop that. Otherwise, it can be mind game with a simple moonwalk. So even that, you have to pre-drop. And that's it. I just went through every single jungle gym spawn on the map, and there are 0. Not a single one. And yeah, so that's pretty bad. But I'm okay with unsafe palettes not actually, I'm okay with them being on the map. Unsafe palettes are fine. There just needs to be a nice mix of safe and unsafe palettes. And that's the correct way to do it. But the thing is, you need to have the weighting for this. This is an actual long wall jungle gym. That needs to not be weighted the same as the other tiles we just saw. Because, like I said, 2 out of the 8 farm maps I checked, we had, I think, two actual jungle gyms the entire time out of every spawn. That's in counting everything. So that was 1 of the 8. But again, everything else is just these ones that are barely playable. And like I'm saying, the main issue here, before I keep ranting the same point, is that the weighting of these things should not be the same. The developers have a loop money system, essentially, which basically, when maps are generated, they have a certain amount of currency that can be spent, and certain loops cost more money, basically, depending on how safe they are and things like that. So that is the main issue there, that these new tiles are being weighted as heavily as the old ones, which they're just absolutely not even close to as strong as that. So that is something they need to fix. That is why I think Coldwind has gotten so bad now, because they have these new tiles that are just really, really not good at all. And they need to not have the same weighting as a standard jungle gym or anything like that, because obviously if you only get those tiles, you will have 0 vaults. You have you have nothing good to use on the entire map. And that is kind of ridiculous. Like, again, I can't stress how silly it is that every jungle gym spawn on the entire map was taken up by one of these shitty new tiles. Every time I did it, except, again, there were two actual jungle gyms in my entire time testing. So, yeah, I do think that's a bit of a problem. I actually think that they need to fix that. I'm not sure if that's what the patch notes indicated, or that's something, or a change that just happened normally, but like, I would say 95% of the tiles on the new on the Coldwind maps are just those the new tiles now, which are just not good. So Yeah, I think they need to fix that. I think they need to go back to a standard balance. The current version on live servers of the farm maps, I think, are kind of like the perfect balance. Rancid Avatar leans a bit towards Killer, and Rotten Fields, depending on your setup, can lean a bit towards Survivor. But for the most part, they need to tone down the RNG and learn what weighting is a little bit better, because they cannot value these things the same. They are not even close in terms of strength, and having absolutely barren maps feels absolutely terrible. And having all jungle gyms everywhere feels terrible for Killer. So they need to hone in on the RNG a lot. But that's pretty much it. Again, just a theory. I'm not sure if that's true or not. It might not be. That's just something I found through testing. So curious to hear if you guys on the PTB happen to find the same thing. It seems to be relegated just to Coldwind because they have the majority of those like new tiles there. So that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.